Did you know? It was rumored that Nintendo would release a second edition of the Wii console with DVD functionality in 2007. Sonic Solutions was reportedly involved with the project, sending out a press release stating Nintendo would use their products to bring DVDs to Wii. Nintendo's public relations manager, Matt Atwood, confirmed the existence of this new Wii, stating it had cost more than the standard edition due to the extra functionality. While the console never surfaced, Nintendo said it was still coming in late 2007. The twist to this tale is that DVD functionality is already built into the standard Wii console. The hardware is capable of DVD playback, but the function was never implemented officially, perhaps to save Nintendo from having to pay a small licensing fee with each console sold. DVD playback can be restored using homebrew software. Despite the Wii Remote's main innovation being its motion control, the wireless technology was possibly the most difficult part to perfect, taking 2 years to develop. The remote's wireless connectivity needed heavy fine-tuning. It worked well in ideal environments, but was easily interfered with. This fact can be seen in early Wii Remote and Nunchuck prototypes that needed a wired connection to the console. As an interesting aside, these early prototypes used the D-pad and A and B buttons from a Game Boy Advance SP, and the Nunchuck analog stick was taken straight from a GameCube controller. Another defining feature of the Wii was, regrettably, that it was an SD console. The Wii didn't have an option for HD output, an approach Miyamoto came to lament. In September 2006, he stated that while the Wii was not HD compatible, its successor would be. His original reasoning was that HD TVs weren't popular enough to justify adding HD output to the Wii. Most of the world still owned SD TVs, and he thought it better to offer people a new way to play with their existing TVs rather than demand they buy a new one. However, in 2013, Miyamoto said he wished the company embraced HD earlier. The advent of HD TVs came 3 years sooner than Nintendo anticipated. In fact, Japan was rapidly converting to HD TVs even as Nintendo promoted and launched the Wii. The Wii's launch, however successful, wasn't without its issues. On the 20th of November, a day after launch, IGN reported an update distributed through Wii Connect 24 broke faulty consoles. Running the initial Wii Connect 24 update on these faulty Wiis caused error codes 110213 or 32002 to repeat, rendering the console unusable. Nintendo offered to either replace or repair such consoles. If the player wanted to keep their save data, they'd need to send the Wii to Nintendo, waiting up to 2 weeks to play the console they bought on launch day. Some also reported that leaving the Wii on its side would make it overheat, even if it was on standby. Another issue the Wii struggled with was third-party support. Because the Wii lacked the processing power of the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, reworking games for Wii hardware would have taken considerable effort. This didn't stop some developers from trying, however. In December 2016, Redfly Studios showcased several Wii prototypes of various games they conceptualized for the console. Among these demos were the original Devil May Cry, a reimagining of Namco's Dig Dug, Star Wars X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter 2, and most impressively, a functional demo of Batman Arkham Asylum. Despite the Wii's comparatively limited power, Redfly managed to reproduce many of the game's functions as well as its visual style faithfully on the Wii. Unfortunately, this demo wasn't pursued by the license holders. Nintendo made physical activity a focus with the Wii. However, a British medical journal study found the physical act of playing the Wii wasn't intense enough to replace real exercise. Wii players only expended around 2% more energy than those playing regular games. Nintendo's focus on health continued when at E3 2009, Nintendo announced the Wii Vitality Sensor, a device capable of measuring the player's pulse. It was intended to aid relaxation by monitoring stress, anxiety, and sleep patterns. It could also have been used in horror games to measure how scared the player was. However, this prototype was never released. According to Iwata, after a large-scale internal test, it was discovered the sensor didn't work consistently, only performing as intended on 9 out of 10 test subjects. While this ratio may seem high, it wasn't good enough for Nintendo. They would only be happy releasing the product if it worked on 999 out of 1,000 people, not 900 out of 1,000. And the Wii didn't improve everyone's health. In 2007, Dr. Julio Bonis awoke with pain in his shoulder, despite not having done much strenuous activity. He soon realized the pain was caused by playing the Wii too often, specifically Wii Sports' tennis. He coined the term Wii-itis in a letter to the New England Journal of Medicine, stating painkillers and a break from playing Wii allowed him to make a full recovery. Unlike with the real sport, a player's endurance is not a factor with Wii Sports' tennis, and so it's possible for a player to strain themselves unwittingly. Bonis sent the report after his friend complained of a similar condition. This was far from the first condition to arise as a result of playing video games, however. Space Invaders led to a condition called Space Invaders wrist, a form of repetitive strain caused by mashing buttons too quickly. The Wii U controller was somewhat inspired by one of the Wii's more unlikely features. The light inside the disc slot notified the player when they got a message. There was a limit to how much information the light could convey, especially considered how sophisticated TVs had become in displaying information. The desire to create a version of the Wii's light that could convey more information led to the idea of a second, smarter monitor that displayed the status of the Wii. This idea evolved into the Wii U. The Wii Remote continued to be used with the Wii U, partly due to the success of the Wii Motion Plus add-on. Miyamoto considered this the Wii Remote's ideal form, and felt it revitalized the controller enough that Nintendo could continue to use it for the Wii successor. At some point, the Wii Remote was intended to function as a television remote. This may have been tied to the scrapped DVD functionality, but it was ultimately used in the Japan-exclusive TV no Tomo Channel G guide for Wii. The technology was adopted more fruitfully in the Wii U's gamepad. The speaker in the Wii Remote was included at the suggestion of Yute Saido, developer of Odama and Sega Dreamcast cult game Seaman. Both games make heavy use of sound. He advised Nintendo that with a speaker in the controller, the Wii Remote could ring like a phone, among other functions. Teams at Nintendo were enthusiastic about the idea, and after weighing the costs and benefits, included it. A microphone wasn't added due to cost and ease of use concerns. If the controller had a headset inside or attached to it, it would be more complicated to use. Nintendo faced many lawsuits as a result of the Wii's success and its proprietary technology. While they won most of their legal battles, in 2017 a jury found the Wii and Wii U infringed upon one particular patent held by Texan company iLife Technologies. While iLife accused Nintendo of infringing on many of their patents, the jury found Nintendo violated only one, a patent on motion sensing technology used to monitor the safety of infants and the elderly. Nintendo was instructed to pay iLife $10.1 million in damages, far less than the almost $150 million the company asked for. Nintendo appealed the case based on an improperly written description in iLife's patent, but lost. Due to the Wii's family-friendly image, many of its games were subject to censorship. However, some of this censorship was frankly unnecessary. A prime example of this can be seen in the PAL release of Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, and in all versions of Prime 3 in the Wii's Metroid Prime Trilogy release. In the game's briefing dialogue cutscene, Admiral Dane says,
"Damn! They're targeting the planetary defense system."
This line was censored in PAL and Trilogy releases, where the word damn is replaced with no. A similarly inconsequential change was made in the European version of Super Paper Mario. In North America, Dementio insults Luigi by calling his mustache a shag. This phrasing was changed in the UK as the word shag has sexual connotations. Instead, Dementio simply calls Luigi a pushover in the PAL release. Another Nintendo game censored in the UK was Mario Party 8. On the Shy Guys Perplex Express board, Kamek uses the word spastic in the North American release and original PAL release, which is an offensive slur against disabled people in the UK. Use of the word caused enough outcry for Nintendo to recall the game. Later releases swapped the word out with erratic. These weren't the only Nintendo games to be censored on the Wii. For Mario Kart Wii, certain names such as Hitler are banned from online modes. Attempting to connect with a forbidden name will instead display a message stating the user's name must be changed to proceed. This was so that online gameplay on the Wii lined up with Nintendo's safe and fun policy. Third-party games were also censored, such as the Wii-exclusive One Piece Unlimited Adventure. Although the game's localization was handled by Funimation instead of 4Kids, the character Smoker was still edited to remove the cigars in his mouth to line up with the 4Kids edit of the anime. Strangely, the cigars on his jacket remain untouched. Another Wii game that was surprisingly censored was Cars 2, the video game. In the German release, the intro cutscene was censored to remove the scene involving Gatling guns, and to remove the explosion from the tunnel that Finn jumps out of. No More Heroes' American release has comical amounts of gore. While it was expected that the game's Japanese releases would see reduced amount of dismemberment and blood, it was a surprise to most when the game's European release had just as much censorship. The North American and English European versions of games are usually very similar, but dissecting and beheading enemies can only be done in the American version. In the US release, the remains of dead hostiles will also explode in a cloud of blood. As well as gameplay, blood has been reduced or outright removed in the game's cutscenes as well. In December 2007, Grasshopper CEO Suda51 and Marvelous's Yashiro Wada made a joint statement about the EU censorship, saying, "We have chosen to release in Europe the same version as has shipped in Japan considering the broadly growing Wii market. Although No More Heroes was censored on the Wii, the HD port of the game, Heroes' Paradise, lost something special too. The N64 in Travis's home was changed to a Sega Genesis with a 32X and Sega CD attachment." Did you also know that Mario Kart Super Circuit and F-Zero Maximum Velocity were censored to remove racially insensitive content? Or that despite the GBA's impressive backwards compatibility, some Game Boy games can't be played on it? For more facts, check out the Did You Know Gaming video on the Game Boy Advance.